So today we're going to talk about getting our 11 by 14 rectangle on our 12 by 18 inch piece of paper. Now there are a couple of things. This is a piece of drawing paper only because it's a little bit easier to see this as a demo. I will also be doing this in Sharpie. Fingers crossed that I don't mess it up, whereas you should be doing yours in a pencil so that we can erase. Do not do yours in pen like I am. I'm also going to do a little bit of just initial stuff on a scrap piece of paper on my sketchbook, just so that we can kind of figure some things out. We have to do a little bit of math here, right? So if I've got my 12 by 18 piece of paper, this is 12 inches, this is 18 inches, and I want an 11-inch wide rectangle. So it's going to be 11 inches here and here. This is going to be 11 inches. I know that 12 inches minus 11 inches gives me 1 inch, but I need to have a border all the way around. So if I take 1 inch and I divide it by 2, I get 1/2 of an inch. So that's how much space I will want to leave along this side. So this space in here should be 1/2 of an inch, and the same thing that goes all along here. At the same time, if I want the long side of my rectangle to be 14 inches, I have to take 18 minus 14, which is 4. If I divide that by 2, obviously I get 2, so that is 2 inches, and that's how much space I will have right here and right here. So to get 11 by 14 inches on a 12 by 18 piece of paper, on the long side I need 2 inches on either side, and on the short side I need 1/2 of an inch on either side. And this is essentially what it's going to look like without all these numbers and everything there. Now, to complicate things just a touch, on hand I only have a 12-inch ruler, which is not going to get me the full length of my 18-inch piece of paper. So we'll talk about how I'm going to figure that out, because at home you might be in the same boat. You know? So let's start with this. And again, I'm doing Sharpie. You should be using a pencil. Having an eraser on hand, not going to be a terrible idea. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually measure what is the short side. And I'm leaving my piece of paper in one orientation just so it's a little bit easier for the camera. You'll figure yours out from there. So I'm going to make sure that this is lined up right along the edge over here. And I'm going to put a mark at 1/2 of an inch. And I'm going to put a mark at 11.5 inches, which is 1/2 of an inch in from this side of the piece of paper. I want to do the same thing over here on this side. So line up my ruler on the end, go to 1/2 of an inch and 1/2 of an inch. Now, the problem that I have is that my ruler doesn't extend from here to here, which I want it to. So what I'm going to do is come in here like this. Now, there's a couple of different things that I could do. I could certainly, to make this at a perfectly parallel and perpendicular angle, I could take a triangle. I could, honestly for this, you can kind of guesstimate it. As long as it's not at an angle like this, it's probably fine. You could also take a book and line up the edge. It's an old joke book from the little one, right along with the edge of your piece of paper. Use that to help set your ruler up over here. Make sure it's at 0 there. And go to 11.5 inches and 1/2 of an inch. Because at this point, what happens is my ruler will reach from here to here, and again, I'll move it over and it will reach from there to there. So from my middle point to my far right hand point. So you have to work with what you have, right? There's a way around it. There's a way to make it work. So we will deal with that. Next, what I want to do is, as I am lining this stuff up, I'm going to make sure my ruler is at 0 over here. Help put this in the middle so it helps focus. And I am going to line this up not just with 0 over here on the edge of my piece of paper, but along with those 2 marks that I have that I just put there. I'm going to come in by, remember, 2 inches, and from here across I'm going to start to draw a line. I'm basically just connecting the dots here. All right? Then I'm going to shift my ruler over so that the end of it is on the edge of my piece of paper over here on my right hand side. I'm going to move my head around so I'm not in view of the camera. I will come in by 2 inches and I will draw a line to connect the dots. And you can see I've got a nice straight line. There's 1/2 of an inch between the edge of the piece of paper and my line right there. And then this is 2 inches from the edge of the piece of paper on either side, which means from here to here, at least again in theory, it's going to be 14 inches. So I will do the same thing down here on this side of the piece of paper. Lining my ruler up so that 0 is right on the end. I want to just be able to see the 2 marks that I have put here. All right, I'm going to spread my fingers across so that my ruler doesn't move. I will come in by 2 inches and I will draw a line across here. Come over here. I will put the edge of my ruler on the edge of my piece of paper because that's right at 12 inches. Again, I'm just barely going to see the marks that I had put on there from my first set of measurements. I will come in by 2 inches and then I will connect my dots. And what I'm thinking is I might have mismarked up here. So I'm going to double check all my measurements. I'm going to make sure that I have 2 inches in from here, 2 inches in from over here. I want to make sure that, see I did. I went to right here instead of right there. So I need to bring this out another 1/4 of an inch. It's not very much, is it? Just enough to be annoying. But you know what? All I have to do is come out here, come back to 10 inches, put here, and usually what I'll do is, well, if it's a pencil, I'll erase that. At this point, I'll just put an X there so I know not to use that, and then double check down here. Now, this width right here is 11 inches. So my ruler should span that. And because I have these 2 marks right here and these 2 marks right here, I don't even have to measure anything at this point. All I have to do is draw a line in between them. So I'm going to put my marking implement just so that I can see everything. My 2 marks. It's a little bit easier to see on this side for the camera, I would imagine. Okay, and now what I have is 2 inches here, 2 inches here, 1/2 of an inch here, 1/2 of an inch here, which gives me a rectangle that is 11 inches on the short side by 14 inches on the long side, perfectly centered in my 12 by 18 inch piece of paper. You will trace this out, you will draw this out first on your piece of newsprint, and then we will transfer that later to our 12 by 18 piece of drawing paper. Again, if you have questions, let me know. Measure twice before you draw anything out. Make sure you use your pencil. Have your eraser handy. If you have a longer ruler, it'll be a little bit easier, but most of us, this is pretty standard. And as always, have fun.